I don't know how much of our audience is going to be so familiar with the actual issues with an artist like yourself and a platform like Spotify, or kind of the transition to streaming. So I'd like to take some time to just hear your thoughts on, or hear how you might explain that to someone who's like, oh, Spotify's great, right? Like you get all this distribution. Could you just kind of break down what are the actual issues there?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, or at least in a shell that a thing classified as a nut comes in, I would say, uh, yeah, I mean, it's like, what do you call it? There's actually a great video. I mean, I will explain it, but there's also a video that I would recommend people go see. That's just up. My friend Yancey Strickler, who created Kickstarter, has a TED Talk that just came out, and I was at TED this year,
Mhm.
and he spoke and just completely inspired me. Especially his his last line was like heavy, where he just says really plainly, he just says, Artists don't need pity, they need power."
Hmm.
And hold on a second. But yeah, and I would say the issue is that people take advantage. Like, a capitalistic system is what's amazing about the capitalist system is that it does work. It works on like ripping CDs. People just like, I'm just gonna copy this music onto this blank CD, and the music industry is like, you can't do that, that's stealing, which technically it was, but at the time I was like, I don't give a fuck. But I'm like, is my music out there? But and I can kind of see it. Obviously, if you're a small label and like people are, copying stuff, you're like, that's taking away from our business. And I get that. But that's where it kind of started. And then it went to MP3s, where it was just like all digital, and people were ripping or trading MP3s. And then of course there's like huge lawsuits and all that stuff, and Metallica going after them, and all, that whole thing. And then as the internet became more mature, and bandwidth got cheaper and more prevalent, then the idea of streaming these from a server started to become a popular thing. And sorry for over explaining it, but it's just the evolution is interesting. And then streaming was like, again, it started kind of in an illegal place, and then of course the industry, it's insanity. It's crazy when you hear these numbers, and fans get pissed off at it, and obviously artists are bummed about it. But because it's such a massive system, it disempowers people to actually do something about it, because they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what to do about this.
Mhm.
And so we're at this point now where I think that there is a consciousness around people getting tired of that, people looking for other things, but it's going to take something easy, as easy as it is to put your a name that you want to hear, like music you want to hear in a search bar. Someone has to create a system that is at least 80% that easy.
Hmm.
And because Spotify right now, and Spotify is like terrible for so many reasons, like that now they're doing this ghost artist thing again in this TED talk by Yancey Strickler. Because what he's promoting is something called an artist corporation, which I've gone to a couple meetings for, and it's pretty amazing. It seeks to put artists at the top of the pyramid when it comes to a corporate structure.
Hmm.
And so they're advocating for a new corporate structure called an A Corp or an artist corp. And so this is a solution, talking about solutions. It'd be great if you guys had Yancey on there.
We'd love
He,
that.
he'd be amazing for you guys. But anyways, but the idea is like to put artists there. Long story short, with Spotify, it's like it's like there was just a report that the CEO of Spotify just invested 600 and something $1 million into a weapons corporation. And it's
Wow.
like the money that's being harvested, it's independent of music. He doesn't care about music. It's just a capitalistic model that
Yeah.
generates income and revenue. And it doesn't matter if it would have been artists or, um, you know, animals, whatever it is, it wouldn't have mattered. It's just generating money. And he obviously does not, excuse my Italian, doesn't give a fuck about it. It's like and that's the problem with art and capitalism. They don't match, because art is the expression of human consciousness, and other humans resonating with that and supporting it by their interest in the way that it inspires them. But when you insert this middle layer, it it seeks to divide the idea of what art is, and then and then once that's divided, then it like further wants to subdivide and subdivide and subdivide so that it can extract as much as it can resource wise. So long-winded, but streaming is very, very damaging because it also, because it feels like like a faucet. You can just turn it on and like listen to as much music as you want, turn it off. It also divorces fans from the preciousness of music, appreciating music. It's more like music on demand is the same thing as turning on a light switch. And so there's a lot that it does that I think devalues. And it's not to say that we can't, the genie's out of the bottle. So I'm not like advocating for like trying to reverse that, but a system can come into place that values artists. And I think like that direct relationship will create a better bond with fans, and fans will just kind of have a new appreciation for artists.